Hello everyone and welcome to the Talking Stick Show. So on this episode I am joined by Kelly Nicholson. Hello Kelly.
Hello, Dale.
Hello. I've just spoken and said hello to you. So how are you doing? How's things with you, Kelly?
I've been really good and just riding these waves of every day and just, trying to be as present as I can and riding the waves of the emotions. And that's just where I've been at.
Beautiful. And we were having a chat about just some of the things we tend to do before everything. We kind of trying to go into something, but we have those programs or the shadow. Can you just explain a little bit about the process of, say, going into a call like this? Because this is,
Yeah.
for you, it's a kind of a newish thing. So what are you going through when you are going through that?
So, any time like this where it feels like I'm going to be showing myself more, I usually am triggered and some sort of anxiety comes up, and I feel it physically in my body and in my belly and just a little anxious. And I was feeling that before. And so it's like taking deep breaths and asking myself, like, what is this feeling? And really I heard this little voice of like, I just want to crawl into a hole. And that voice is like an aspect of myself that's afraid to still be seen, and that comes through. And so each time, like, I come out and show myself and share, and this is what we do, and we step through that fear rather than running through it, rather than running from it, it just supports us in releasing that tie to that old energy, that old density that still exists. And it's great now for me to see, like today, it was present, I felt it, and I was aware of it. And before, in the past, it's been like severe. Like the first time I ever came on something, I was invited to do a talk and do sound somewhere. My teeth were literally chattering as I was talking because so much like energy was moving through me. So it's definitely a process, and just like a little more to like shake it out to come out, be like, "Hey, girl."
It, it remind
Yes.
It reminds me of when I did a first meditation at a place, and I looked up and I was fine getting there, but all of a sudden I looked up and there was more than 10 people there for the first time, and I looked up and I was looking at everyone. I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like- I remember just thinking, "Oh shit, what do I do now?" Like, and
Yes, it's so interesting. Like I was a hairdresser for 17 years, so I'm used to talking to people and having people look at me one on one. But once I stepped into this arena and I started doing groups, seeing all those eyes look at me, I was like, that definitely felt like that was so different. And still, each time, there's aspects of myself that is like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you still do this. Like, that you talk to people and you use your voice in this way. And I feel like that's such a big part of all of our journeys, and mine with sound and expressing myself and using my voice, is definitely like stepping through that portal of fear for sure.
beautiful, beautiful. And so, if you want to tell the listeners a bit about yourself, I found you through Nalini Diasera. I saw one of your rituals you were doing with her, and straight away, I very enjoyed what you were doing, and I just thought, from what I see, it's you're looking like you are. I don't like to use the word taking off, but you are coming into some your power and you're coming into your essence, and it's great to see you because you are an authentic being, and it's beautiful to be able to see that. So, can you tell the listeners who've never seen you, never heard of you before, a little bit about your backstory and what you do?
Sure. So, like I said, I was a hairdresser for 17 years, and through a neck injury and just like divine orchestration of my life, I took a turn and opened up to a whole new path. And now I'm in the world of vibrational healing and medicine. I call myself a sound healer, intuitive artist, and soul coach. The basis of everything that I do is on the underneath of the energy current of everything and that we are. And I'm not just, but I am a space holder. And I love sharing vibrational medicine. I love sharing sound healing and the art that I do and connecting to people's energy colors and really, you know, my like the core of everything that I am here to share and give is balance and harmony, and creating that by creating that in my own life, and then sharing that through like really cool stuff like music and drawings and color. And that is um, now it's such a passion, and I'm so grateful to be able to be in this space to share it and to support people in this way.
Beautiful. And so, how did you get into sound healing then, Kelly? What was it like when you were younger? Was there something what inspired you to be able to find the spirituality path? And the second question would be, what brought you onto the spiritual path? Was there any catalyst or anything in the past which brought you on? Any specific change in you, or?
Yeah. So I would definitely say I really didn't I have any musical knowledge or any training like that when I was younger, but music has always been a part of my life. Like I connect so much to it now, and seeing myself as a little girl, like I just started listening to a Whitney Houston song like from back in the day, and I could just like hear her, like me like as little, like singing those words. Like music was such a constant in my life. Like I could tell you like in my darkest moments like what songs held me and carried me and supported me, and then also what songs uplift me and make me feel free and all of those things. So really, like there was just the undercurrent is the sound, it's the vibration of that and the words and the meaning. But yeah, so that was how I was so connected when I was younger. And then just as I started opening up to what else more was for me, I've always been into spirituality. I've always been into like everything. Like when I was younger, I'd go like play with the rocks at the end of the driveway, or like into tarot or going to see psychics or different things and crystals and all of that. So but really like all the times that I had my awakening or whatever you would call it would be like in like the most difficult times of my life. And during those times of real sadness was when I then opened up to other avenues of energetic, healing and energy, like through a miscarriage or through a car accident or through my neck injury, from doing hair. All of those things were such catalysts to connect me to what more is out there. Like when I also had that neck injury, something that coincides, and actually I've never like shared this with in this form, but right before I had the neck injury, my mother-in-law passed away, and I was at her bedside when she transitioned, and I felt her spirit leave her body, and I have never been the same since. And I feel like that has played such a part. Like, say it's the neck injury, but really it's everything else around it. So, yes, I would say it was really the heaviest times of my life are what opened me up to more and finding more
Beautiful.
of myself.
Beautiful, and that is so true. That death does tend to have a big effect on everyone, and it brings people together. And I've lost close loved ones. I lost a friend a few weeks ago, so it does give us a perspective. I think is the best way to describe it, isn't it? When someone leaves this physical world and they go on to the spirit world, there's that deep sense of mourning, which is very hard. And so, was the music for you kind of like the mourning? The sound and the music helped you kind of overcome that mourning process and really deal with and integrate what was going on back then.
For sure. Like it's like to be held in the container of a song, like in lyric in that melody when you're in such deep grief, and all of that is just so it's so simple, like you would think things have to be so like orchestrated and all these things, but like to be that simple, like it's really so powerful. And it's just amazing to put on like a playlist or different things like that, and it's just to have your mood be here, and then to even just like elevate it just a little bit. You don't got to go from being like really down like to being super happy, but just enough to where you're like, okay, yeah, like I'm gonna get through this, that sort of thing. And yeah.
Beautiful, and it does. Music kind of connects everyone, even people who don't say they are spiritual, but in an essence, music is spirituality and part of the universe. So, what was it like for you growing up then, Kelly? What was the world like? It's always interesting to hear people's different perspectives on the world when they were growing up, because everyone's perspective is so unique and different. What was it like for you growing up in a world where you have to really try and put a lot of effort in to maintain this healthy and being happy?
You are coming with some things that are just getting all the feels going. I'm like, oh, I just went in there. Like I am a very highly sensitive person, and I always have been like very emotional and feeling, and I didn't know at the time like how much I felt my surroundings, but I grew up like very scared and very like afraid, and like I kept myself small, and really just in a shell, what it feels like. And that's why all these things of like coming out a little bit more and a little bit more, like it's important. And that's why the emotions come, because it's really real. And growing up in a world where things seem like they were just this way, or there's all these boxes that you have to be in. And just the older I got, and now like going back and traversing through my life through memory and trauma and feeling, and like the awareness of it, like really seeing how like this person inside me has always been there, like the one that knew that like I was going to break the mold, the one that knew that I didn't need to stay inside the lines, like the one that knew that I'm going to share something really weird or wild with the world, like that, I feel like that person was always inside me, and I feel that now. But I definitely grew up like being scared of a lot of things. And throughout my experience now of my own personal healing, I've really just actively taken on my fears myself to find freedom here, when I've just been so scared. Now I realize it's just how we always just felt so alone, and we felt separate, even when you have a family that does love you, even though it's hard sometimes. It's just all of that, like that, like full circle. Like it really is like coming back to like, oh yeah, everything is okay.
So, and
And
it,
everything I've been through, everything we go through is, like this like earth school of lesson of just experience and expansion, and everything has supported me in my growth, and like brought me to this moment right here where I can share this and support other people in their own journeys. And that is why I'm here.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's so great to see that you're in touch with your own feelings. And that's a very, very, very good thing to be able to do that and trigger so much emotion. A lot of people are very closed off in that sense. Um, so, yeah, from when I grew up, it seemed like you were saying the world was against me at all times. And it feels like you're alone and you're trying to speak to someone, even though your parents love you and your family love you. There's still that sense of that self-love and like, what the hell's going on? Why are we controlled so much? Why do we have to work? Why do we have to give this much effort? What would your advice be for those people who are struggling to really speak out watching this show? What would your advice from your personal journey be to them?
My advice would be to do whatever you can do to drop into yourself, to really connect into whatever you can, and connecting to the things that you do love and the things that do bring you joy. And really, like, I feel like the more I've connected to me, the more it supported me in seeing the light elsewhere, even when it doesn't look like it's there. So it really was about, I feel like, really like diving into yourself and getting to know yourself better, and just also connecting to that we're not alone, and that there's so much around us, and that we are connected to the intelligence of the universe, and leaning into that, like leaning into the higher self, like the other aspects of us, and that community that we cannot see but you can feel. I feel like that's so much that's coming up now through all of this like intensity and so much change and shifting. Like it's really like a collective awakening of us really seeing that yes, we're human, but we're also more than that, and leaning into that supports this experience. So it's like finding that balance.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and that's so important. We were talking just before how important it is to switch off and maintain discipline. One of the hardest things for a lot of people on their path is when they're doing the work on themselves or they're helping others, sometimes they can fall back straight asleep because they're unbalanced in a way that everything's spiritual. So we were talking how important it is to be able to switch off, as well as, even though whoever's listening, if you're on the spiritual path, it's very vitally important that you do have those times where you fully switch off and keep it balanced.
Yes, absolutely. Like we were saying, I love to like lay on the couch with my dogs and watch Netflix and watch TV. I love watching movies and shows and stuff, and that stuff is just like time to chill out. I feel like that's something that I can add a little more in my life, of like talking to people and just having like conversations that isn't about our spiritual growth, for sure.
And that's it. A lot of people, that there's that ideology that we are, like, you speak to someone who's spiritual or a teacher, that they're going to be kind of putting themselves on pedestals or anything like that. But it's so important to get past yourself, past that nervousness, and
Yeah.
start speaking to, like, for me and you having this fluent conversation. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to do this, for you to share your story, me to share my story, because when we grow up, we're not seeing our true story by the news, because it's just all control, lies, so on and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about the art. So if you want to explain a little bit more about that and what inspired you to get into doing your artwork.
So as a hairstylist, I was always, connected to color. And even prior to that, like younger in school, I was definitely always into art. Like it was my favorite subject. It was always something like that I was drawn to. And then just like growing up, and even like frequently, like before I left, just after I left hair, I had some pastels and paper, and so I would draw like once in a blue moon. Like if I looked at my pad, it would be like in the dates, it would be like 2 months, 6 months. Like it wasn't anything consecutive. Interesting that my throat's doing this. um, and once I left my job, I felt really called to pick up my pad and my pastels and start drawing. And so every night I would draw, and like it was like 3 or 4 in a row, and all of a sudden I was like, whoa, like something's happening here. And I have and had a spiritual life coach, and I just like messaged her. I'm like, something is happening here, and she was like, oh yeah, for sure. And so the more that I connected to it, I realized that, she told me to meditate with it and see what it said to me. And before I didn't even need to do that. Like the next night I drew without any intention, just like really letting whatever wanted to come out, come out. And then it instantly like gave me a name, like it gave me its energy, like it told me what it was expressing. And so that has just like then gone off to then me working and connecting to people's energy, like testing that out. I did like a few friends, and channeling like an energy through, and bringing messages along with it. And as I've just done that, like that's kind of, it's really picked up, and it's very cool because each one is so different. Like I've had so many different experiences of, like inner child connection, like really going into kind of like a soul retrieval sort of thing, like trance, like when I'm doing it, like, and there's so many different aspects that come through. I've had, different family members of people come through during it, and there's just, it's so much happens during it. It's so cool that you then have it and then you can look at it. But color is like, we are color, like we are sound and matter, and so color, it means something. The different colors are different, the different energy are light, and they have different aspects. So connecting to our color really supports us, and again, connecting with ourselves. And the portraits themselves just create, just like a lot of other energy services, like move through where you have blocks or areas that you may need a little support, and then also shine light on like some like gifts that are lying dormant and your own personal uniqueness. So it is a connection from your own higher self coming through your colors through me.
So what you were just talking about then, would that be you with a client would that be drawing as well with the,
Oh,
yeah. So what would be the process of you doing what you were explaining then? What would happen during that session?
so I call them harmonic portraits. And with them, I actually don't do them in person. I just need a name and like a couple pictures, and so I do it on my own, and then I mail it through. I do offer different options with it, so if someone wanted to talk to me, so interesting. If someone wanted to speak with me about it, we can do like a little session and dive more into it. So that is, and then I'm brainstorming all different ideas of more things to offer and be able to do. Like I offer little like mini harmonics. I usually do those in person, like they're a lot smaller, and that's like one specific part of your energy field that wants to come through. And so as I do that, I then do that with like a reading, and so I do that in front of someone, because those I can do in like 15 minutes. But the ones that are like the portraits, like those take me a couple hours, sometimes 3 hours. So those take a little more time. So I do that in my own time and then send them out.
Beautiful, and that's so unique. That's I've not really heard many of that around. So that's such a unique skill set to have. What's it been like for you? When did you decide, when you were doing the drawings and connecting to people, doing the readings? When did that come through for you? And you kind of realizing, oh, hang on a minute, this skill is something I really need to be exploring.
Well, it happened very quickly. Like I would say it all was about maybe like 2 months maybe from when the drawing started taking on like a form and I could feel the energy of it, to testing it out with my friends. So it's now probably, I would say it's been about 3 years since I started it, and I just knew that it was something that needed to be shared, and it was definitely a support. And I feel like it's just so connecting into this wisdom and knowledge that we all have and know, whether we're aware of it or not, from very, very ancient times when color was used in this way, in other ways as well. So this is a way of bringing that into this day and age and sharing it in a way people can understand.
That sounds great. I'd really interested in that. That sounds really outstanding. So look, let's talk a little bit about the music then before you give us show us a little bit of your sound therapy. Let's talk about the impact of music on. So we've talking about how to deal with death, and music's helped you kind of overcome that. What other avenues of music can help people in different situations? Can you just explain why you're doing the sound healing for people coming to your sessions? What do they come and what do they get out of them?
So, sound supports us in, like vibrational sound supports us in so many ways. This, the healing modality is called sound healing, but it is the vibrations of sound that are what move through us at a cellular level. So, it supports physical, mental, emotional, like spiritual, energetic, all like healing on all levels. It really supports the nervous system. Right now everything's so heightened and we're more in our like fight or flight a lot. And the vibrations of sound move through us and with us and allow us to come into alignment with our center. And I feel more now than ever. I mean, this always has been, but it's just with the intensity of the noise and what's going on with the world. Like, finding our center is like our superpower, or I don't like using this word, but like it comes to me as like that's our weapon. Like that's like finding our center. So really, it's the vibrations of sound. Even when you sit with them for a sound bath, like they aren't healing you, like they aren't changing you. I just said this to a group the other night, like this doesn't change you. What this does is support you in releasing what you are not. It supports you in releasing the heavy and the stories, and supports you in gaining clarity and connecting more into yourself, so then you can navigate through all the other things of every single day. So when people come, I mean, especially now, people are coming very stressed, with anxiety and, a lot of uncertainty and worry about the future and all of those things. And it really supports us in relaxing and feeling safe inside our bodies, like no matter what's going on, really anchoring in. And so it supports so many things. It helps with sleep, if you have issues with sleeping. Like I have had some people come to me recently that just got diagnosed with cancer, and so there's so many things. Like I don't like to say this will do this, because everyone's experience is different. I do not feel like that this is a cure for anything, but I do feel like this is a major support for many things. So
lovely. So your sound events, I've seen you doing some events as well. What do you do at those events, and is it people laying down while you're doing the sound therapy?
yes, so when I do the ones in person, for sure, people are usually laying down for most of the part. I do like to recommend just getting in whatever sort of position makes you feel the most comfortable. Like when you are not holding anywhere in your body, you can really feel like the physical sensations of the vibrations moving through us. And I just find that fascinating, that you can physically feel what is happening energetically. Sometimes like our ego mind likes proof, so that gives a little bit of proof. But I mean, proof is in the pudding, like the way you feel from it. But also, so a lot of people are laying down with pillows, blankets, all those things. One of the places that I'm at very regularly, and I've created kind of like a home base, is Salt Therapy Wellness Center. They have zero gravity chairs. So the people lay in the zero gravity chairs, which are super awesome because help like support like feeling light in the body. So everyone just lays down. I usually like to begin with a guided meditation because our minds like to have something to do. So it gives like the mind something to focus on. And then I usually, a lot of the times incorporate color, visual, and then go into the sound, and just dance through the different layers of sound using the instruments and my voice as a vibrational tool. I do a lot of, it's not considered singing, it's considered toning, and like light language comes through. And then towards the end, grounding the energy back down, having a little bit of a guided, connecting back to the imagery from the beginning, and then us maybe chatting a little bit about anything that anyone's felt or anything like that, or maybe me sharing what the kind of energy came through or what I saw for the collective group. And it's usually how most of them go.
Beautiful. And you're from America. Whereabouts in America are you from?
So I live in Connecticut, on the east coast of the US, so we're kind of like between like New York and Boston, New York and Massachusetts.
And when I went to my friend Christian does some sound journeying in York, and I went there, and he used the singing bowl, and it was really strange because it was like the first time I could ever feel where I was nice and relaxed. Like the sound was just coming at me in waves, and it kind of like it was kind of like a wave against my aura, and
Hmm.
each of the balls were doing different frequencies to my aura, and I was like, it was kind of like at the start I was like, this feels like a drug, like like it was just coming in, and the difference, like, because you do a lot of zoom stuff, and you're always going to be a bit limited with the zoom, but I'd really highly recommend people to go out and to go live to see the instruments and stuff, and it's so profound. The experience of having the sound coming at you in waves going whoa, 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 and you auric field, it feels like you're getting tuned to a specific it's part of your chakras or your energy field. What does it feel like to you as far as attunements go with the crystal balls or the
It's very much like it's about vibration, like connecting to us at an energetic level. So there is, that waviness. There is that feeling of like lightness and release. You can definitely feel a difference from the beginning to the end, at different times. Like, I love hearing what people experience. Some people are like, oh, I felt it over here, then I felt it over here, or I felt chills, or, some different things, the way it moves. It's always very cool, and each person has their own experience, and it's like each time, even each time that I play, it feels different to me. Like, and obviously the different instruments have different purposes and, support different things. So sometimes it's like so grounding, and I'm feeling it so physical in my body, and then it like moves up and it's more like really in my heart. Like, a lot of the times I'll feel like even afterwards I'm like, whew, yeah, it feels like a little something happened in there. Like you can feel it, like, or a lot of sensation in the throat. We're working with our energy system. So what's happening is our anything that needs to be moved or shifted, like shifted, is shifting to bring us into alignment with our purest, like our highest own vibration. And so you will feel that as things are moving. Even like I get a lot of like little sensations like in my third eye, or I get like a lot in the back of the head. Yeah, it's super cool. Like, someone was just saying in one this weekend that her legs kind of go numb. She's like, like that sort of happens to me. Like, everyone has, like different sensations and stuff, and I feel that it's fascinating to hear everyone's different experiences, because you can have those different experiences physically, and then people also are experiencing different emotions come up. Like, oh, I started crying. I have no idea why. That's okay. You don't need to know. If it didn't come to you, that's fine. Different emotions moving, or even sometimes it can be intense and you feel like a little anxiety, and it's like because it's like it's moving through something, so there are all those different types of experiences, and I feel like each time it's different, and is whatever we need the most at that moment.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it just reminded me of being a kid when I was younger, skateboarding with my music on. I used to go skateboard and I used to listen to my music, and I felt free. There was that sense of freedom and that sense of feeling the universal song. When you're doing your work and doing the sound healing, you're connecting to your signature frequency and you're sharing your song and the universal song with everyone else. So it's an honor to have you on, and I look forward to hearing some of the sound journey if you'd like to give us all a demonstration.
Sure. So if while I do it, if you can just put your microphone on mute, and we'll go for about like 15 minutes or ten minutes, I
Beautiful,
think. Is that
beautiful. Thank
okay?
you, Kelly.
Okay. You're welcome. Ow. So this is when you want to get comfortable and relax. If you want to stay seated or lay down, whatever feels good for you. Close your eyes and go inside. Let's just take 3 deep breaths together here to ground down. Allowing them to be vocal if you wish. bring your attention to your heart space in the center of your chest and ground your energy here. Allowing yourself to breathe down and exhale out. With each breath that you breathe, allow yourself to arrive more in this present moment. More into your Bring your awareness back to your breath. And let's take 3 deep breaths together, allowing ourselves to ground back down. Allowing yourself to make sound if you wish. You can slowly and gently begin to awaken or rest in this space if you like to, giving the energy time to integrate and recalibrate.
That was beautiful, thank you.
You're welcome.
So when I was having that experience, it'd be great if whoever's watching to share their experience through that as well. It'd be great to hear what other people have experienced. When I heard the singing bowl, got a deep connection to whales. Saw quite a few killer whales, and really connected me to my dragon as well, which was great. Then there was a sense of, from what I picked up, it was like it gives you a sense of connecting to the infinite universe, and there's so much the connecting to the greater universe and understanding how we are kind of in this body, in this skin suit, and there's so many different things out there, infinite worlds out there. And that really, when it started connecting to that killer whale, I really felt this just connection to life, connection to the trees, connection to everything. And it really brought me on to a feeling of my inner child needing some work, for me to do a bit of inner work on some parts of the inner child. Then when you were doing the bells as well, I was thinking, because I used to hear the like the wind chimes and stuff, and they used to really give me this feeling of illumination every time I heard them. So when I was a kid and I ever went round, if someone ever had them, I'd play them and play them, and that again gave me this just deep sense of peace. And it's hard to explain really the what it did to me. It was just, it's in touch with that universal, and everything seems so small, like every drama going on in my life or everything going on seems so tiny. Like, and the understanding the greater good, and it really did. And the toning as well, it was all really beautiful, and it brought me into such a nice natural neutral state, and I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for sharing all of that. That's so beautiful. I too felt the whales, and so much so. So as soon as you said that, I was like I also love that. I love hearing when people like actually feel the same thing. Like, it's so cool. I felt them so much. I felt them coming through me, like the sounds that I was making in the beginning, like I felt like it was them, and like that universal consciousness of just like deep, deep love. And like you said, yeah, there's this like expansive feeling, and it's just, it's amazing to connect to that universal love and grid, and all of that, like, and to connect into that in a body as a human, like that this is possible, like this is what we're doing here, like we are creating that, like, and that is experienced in these bodies. Yeah, that is so beautiful and amazing. It felt like it was beautiful, and it's amazing how much you can feel in just that short period of time. Isn't that so cool too? Like, it was like I feel like it went by that. Like, I quickly, I'm like, okay, I feel like we're like at the end, but then I glanced at like my at the time, and I was like, okay, but I was like, wow, like we just like went there, you know?
We went
We
into
really
no
jumped
time.
around.
We went into the no time field.
For sure.
Yeah, and I sensed as well when you were doing some of the
And I love that you also said the connection to the inner child, because I feel that too. I feel like the more that I've recently really been connecting to like how am I showing up in the world? Like what, what do I want, people to experience from this? Like, and my like the vibration that I express, and a lot of what's been coming to me today, like today specifically, was like the energy of the mother, like in the energy of the mother, and like the nurturing of that inner child, and like us like creating a space where we can connect to that child within us and be the parents, like, and give the love and give the acceptance and everything that that child within us wants and always desired, and just really sitting in that space is just so beautiful. So I am floored that you said that.
and I got a deep sense of one of your past lives as a Native American lady singing as well. I could really see that when you were singing. I could see this. Like it was like this really deep connection of this native elder who's been doing this before. So that was interesting as well. That came up. It just really, that's straight away when you started doing the toning. I could just see a Native American lady singing, and so that
It's
was.
so it's so amazing to cross, to be able to travel like that and to cross and experience those things. Like um I've like seen that as those aspects of myself, and I've done this, like connected to how I've done this in many, many lifetimes, and that this like connection to this medicine is within me, and very much to like like I one day I was doing one sound bath, and I saw myself as a like the medicine woman of the tribe, and I was singing the songs, and I heard like the children in the teepee like whisper to each other like, she sings the songs of the stars.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Like that's real.
Yeah, they and
So that's so
that's it.
amazing.
The touch of the infinite. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
And it's so great. Thank you so much for coming on, and it really is great to see you are so authentic. You really are, and yeah, you've it's beautiful to see what you're doing, and I really appreciate you coming on the show and speaking about your journey and what you do. So how can people get a hold of you, Kelly, then? I think we've got a bit of delay. So how can people get a hold of
Um,
you, Kelly?
yeah. So you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. My name right here, you can see the Kelly Nicholson. On Instagram, you can just look that up, but I'm also at Infinite Love and Light. But you can, yeah, just hook up with me on social media. I would love to connect and support any of you through this way, if you're called to it. And thank you, Dale, so much for this space. Your questions, the container you've created is just amazing. I knew when I saw that when you reached out to me and you told me the name of your show, I was like, sign me up. I just loved it. So
And
thank you for letting me process my emotions and share sound with you and just connect with you, and all of those of you that will listen to this. Thank you.
thank you, and thank you for thank you for inspiring me. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Mm.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for listening as well. I really appreciate everyone's comments, and if you want to subscribe and listen to other shows coming up. So thank you so much, Kelly, and thank you everyone for watching. Aho, thank you.